Okay, this is a call stack in JavaScript. It's a stack data structure. So it follows last in, first out. So basically what we are gonna do is push 1 into it. Then we push 2 into it. And then we push 3. So at last we pushed 3 into it. So when we come to pop, we can only pop this one. Then we can pop this one. So the one that came last will be popped out first. Okay, the next thing that you need to know about call stack in JavaScript is that it executes the topmost thing. Like if we pop 3 out of here, then it will execute 2. And if we remove 2, then it will execute 1. Okay, whatever I said will start making sense now. Take a look at this code. Okay, what will happen if we run this function? First of all, we introduce a global execution context to our call stack. How our global execution context is going to look like is this. Const num equals 3. So we are making a variable and its value is 3. Then we declare a function multiply by 2 and we put that in memory. But we will not go inside the function because we are not invoking the function. This is just a declaration of a function, we are not running it. So there is no need to know what's inside the function. And then ignoring these two lines, we will directly move on to the third line. Name is equals to will, and we will store that in the global memory. Now let's take a look at a more complex example. Okay, what happens when we run this code? First of all, we get the global execution context. The global execution context for this will look like this. Const num equals 3, we store it in the global memory. Function multiply by 2. We store the function declaration in memory and then we move on to the next line. We do not go inside the function because it's not called yet. Then we see that const output is equals to a function, so we will need to execute it. Finally, we are actually executing a function. So what will happen is at first output will be undefined, and then in the call stack we will add another thing which is called local execution context on top of global context. The local execution context looks like this. So in local memory, first thing we will save is the input number, which is 4. The second thing that we will save is result, which will be calculated as input number by and multiplied by 2, which is 8. And then we will return 8. As soon as we return something from a local execution context, all of this gets erased. This gets popped off of the call stack and we get in global memory, we get output is equals to 8. So now we move on to the next line. When we move on to the next line, we declare a new variable called newOutput, and again it's undefined because we have not yet used this function. So to execute this function, again we will push this local execution context, which is also known as variable instance in our call stack. This time again a new context will be created and a local memory with input. This time input would be 10. The result will be 10 times 2, which is 20, and we will return 20 here. As soon as we return 20, this memory is erased. The local execution context is again popped off the list and we again go back to the global execution context and we put the returned value to the new output, which is 20.